6SW, sorry. What that means, I'll keep that very brief, this is a late war Sherman. The suspension is better, giving you a smoother ride. It's got a much bigger gun than the earlier ones. It's got a much higher velocity gun, which means you're knocking out the heavier German tanks like the Tiger, or at least hopefully anyway. And you've also got the W, and the W is interesting because the Allies are really focusing on how to keep their crews alive. We are producing enough vehicles that we can lose them and it not really matter too much, but how are we keeping the crews alive? And the Shermans have a reputation for what's known as a Tommy cooker. Basically, they're going to brew up, they're going to explode into flames at any given opportunity. That is not the case. They're also not indestructible. So there's a middle ground to that argument there. But what the W stands for is wet stowage. So as opposed to rounds just being sort of out in clips, in racks in the tank, it's actually in the floor of the hull in wet stowage. So if a shrapnel or something were to cook off inside that tank, it would smother the ammunition, it would flood the ammunition, giving the crew time to get out. And that is important. For the British, that then continues right to today. Actually, how do we keep our crews alive? As I said, Fury is the star of the 2014 film Fury, but it's actually got a much longer history than that. It first came to the museum, I believe it was the late 40s or early 50s, and as it came to Britain from the US as a trial vehicle, this is an M4A2, and that means it's got a diesel engine. We didn't use them in the British Army really, but it's a good runner, so we named it Calvados after a region in Normandy, and it became a regular runner for the museum for many years. It was often crewed by two chaps called Ron and Harry. They were both Second World War veterans, so after a while they were honoured by having their names, Ron and Harry, on plaques on either side of this vehicle. So when before 2014, when the film company rolled around, we named it Fury. We've still got all the paraphernalia that's on the side of this vehicle. The commander on the right-hand side of the turret, so the side that's closest to you guys, Buzz, he actually drove Fury in the film. So got a bit of a film star in the turret today. Give everybody a wave, Buzz. Can you hear me? Oh, he's looking at his desk staring at me. I'm going to shut up now. Roger that. Let's move Fury on. What is a good thing to point out as it goes away from us now is that a tank isn't just a tank, it is also a home for the crews. And that is represented by the sheer amount of stuff that's currently on the back of Fury. Crews will find any and all ways to mount stuff to the side of their vehicles. By the end of the war, we're looking at sort of actual stowage bins on the side of the tanks. But for most of the war, they just kind of strap them down under tarpaulin or something like that, which is not ideal, but it was better than nothing, because their crews have got to live on these vehicles for the whole of the campaign. So as these form up, what we've effectively got is a mini battle group. And what I mean by that is it's a bunch of smaller units that have come together with different roles to fulfill one purpose. The Germans were very good at this in the Second World War, and they called them Kampfgruppe. And the common perception is that the British Army was never any good at this. That is a lie. By the end of the war, the British Army were just as good at creating battle groups. So what we've got here, I'll briefly run through the different roles. We've got that general purpose utility vehicle, the go everywhere, do everything kind of vibe. Then behind that, we've got your finding asset, we've got your reconnaissance asset. That will find the enemy for the commanders. Behind that, we have got your APC, your armoured personnel carrier. Let's get your infantry into battle to support the armour, protected. And behind that, we've got a direct fire weapon, the tank. As part of a battle group, you will also have usually artillery, you will have some form of communication assets, because you'll also have an air force, hopefully, that's coming in conducting bombing runs. Anybody see anything?
Yeah, over there.
Yeah? That's not very good. What's he got there? He's got a bazooka. Infantry anti-tank weapons are dangerous to tanks later on in the war. He fires, he hits. Right, the battle group commander now has a decision to make. Does he stay and fight and risk getting knocked out, or does he leg it to fight another day? He legs it, which is the sensible decision. The Ruritanians have brought artillery fire down. They're trying to fix the Bovington tanks into position, but they managed to sneak away. The reason he ran away probably was because he didn't know what really threat he was facing. He didn't know what that looked like. Yes, it turned out, we can see it was just one bloke with a bazooka, but it might have been more. It could have been an ambush. So they go to the back of the arena to form up. So now the battle group commander is coming up with a plan of how to retake that strategic asset of that mound. If you take that mound, you've got the high ground. You can put reconnaissance assets up there. You can dig in on the reverse slope where the enemy can't see you. So it's a massively important thing. So he's just dealing with infantry at this point. Unfortunately, oh, that's not what we want, is it? What do we think of them? Boo! The Ruritanians have acquired a heavy armoured car, the Saladin. That is a late 1940s, early 1950s vehicle, which means, oh no, they're putting a flag up as well. They've captured the mound. Okay, so the battle group commander is now dealing with armour, and he's got to retake the mound, which is not a good situation for him to be in. But that Saladin now gives the Ruritanians the firepower advantage against most of the assets in that battle group, which is not ideal. So as this vehicle comes around, I really would like everybody in the audience to let that commander know what we really think of him. Keep it PG. Boo! Boo! You can't get me, I have a high vis on. So the Saladin commander is now bringing this vehicle into what's called a hull down position. So a lovely little defensive position there that he can then hopefully spot the enemy before they spot him. And when I say hull down, I mean physically the hull is below the line of the terrain. So all the enemy is hopefully going to be able to see on his part is the gun and the turret. Usually your turret face is a bit heavy armoured as well, so you've got a bit of an advantage there. So the battle group commander now has to come up with a new plan. So he's sending out his reconnaissance assets, his recce vehicles. Yes, he's clearly employed the totally unprotected Jeep into the recce role. But he's the smallest vehicle and he can hide very easily. And then behind that is your slightly heavier asset, the Daimler. Again, you still don't really want to be hit, that's the problem. And behind that, the infantry are then forming up to do their assault on the chap with the bazooka, because he is then dug in his infantry position. Because a tank can't really do that. It can support, but you have to get infantry that last few meters, last few hundred. Oh, he's out again. What's going to happen? Who's he aiming at? Whoa! That is not good for the battle group. That is their main reconnaissance asset knocked out. Someone missed. I'm going to... Whoa! So the infantry are now starting their attack. They're laying what's called covering fire. The mortar is coming down. So we have found the enemy. We are now fixing the enemy in position with artillery and mortar fire, which allows the covering of that, allows the tank to move into position. And the reason the mortar is fantastic is you can fire over things. That's your fuel just gone up. So the tank is, he's committed his heavy armour. The tank is swinging around into position. to engage the enemy asset. I think we know who's going to win this one. Yep, that's gone well. So that is Dissident knocked out right there. He's going to play no longer any part in the battle. Oh look, his mother's knickers. Right, the infantry are coming forward. You've neutralised the armour, which means you can bring the infantry in. They are doing what's called a pepper pot attack, which means half the section advances while the other half provides covering fire. They are using the obstacles that are around them and strategically placed, and they're going in for the last one. The bazooka operator clearly has learned from stormtroopers for their accuracy, but I'm not complaining. Oh, what's happening? They're all very slow. Good job. The machine gun operator there is totally useless at his job, and he has been captured. Give them all a round of applause. And the flag is down. And hopefully we'll raise something slightly more positive. There we go. Big cheer. They've recaptured the mound. The Ruritanians have been nullified, and we have some prisoners. That is our display. Thank you all for listening. Hopefully you've learnt something about how all of these different vehicles are supposed to operate together. Before you guys head off, I've got a couple of notices. Firstly, all the vehicles you've seen out here today are going to make their way over just in front of the big grey building, our Vehicle Conservation Centre, and they'll be open to have a wander around. Please be careful of hot exhausts. They hurt. Don't touch them. Talking of the VCC, the balcony in that will be open until 3 p.m. sharp. Well worth a look at. About over 100 different vehicles in there from our reserve collection. Plus the vehicle rides will be continuing just after the show until around 4 o'clock. Thank you very much for listening, and have a fantastic rest of your day.